Hey everyone, it's Amanda with My Life, My Way. So, your friend has come to you and said, I'm suffering from infertility. It's a bit of a bomb drop. What do you say now, right? That's what this video today is going to be all about. It's things that people have said to us that were well meaning but really hurtful, and why. And I'm also going to talk to you guys about things that you can say that are warm and supportive and make us feel really loved, which I know is the feeling you're going for. You're watching this video because you care about this person, not because you don't care, right? If you didn't care, you just keep moving on with your life like nothing had ever happened. So, this video is just kind of helping you understand what should be said and what can be said, because it's hard to deal with. If it's nothing you've ever come across, how would you know, really? um and that's not a knock against you, it's a human response, right? So let's get into this. Most of these actually didn't come from myself. I started with one on an infertility page, and then I had other women write me back with other things that they've had said to them as well. And there was never one comment that nobody else had heard before. Everybody else had variations of the same, or not everybody else, but other people had variations of the same comment. So this is not any way aimed towards anybody I've ever met or people that I have not met. Most of these comments have been said in varying forms to a lot of people with infertility. So we're going to talk about a few of them. The first thing I want to just keep in mind for you guys is keep in mind that suffering with infertility is suffering. Seeing month after month of negative pregnancy tests and watching friend after family member after friend get pregnant, have their babies, and sometimes even get pregnant with a second one before you've even managed to get your first one, it's heartbreaking. It really does draw on you after a while. For those of you who don't know me, my husband and I started trying in May of 2015. 9 months later, I was like, okay, something's kind of up. Like, we should go see a doctor about this. It took 6 months to get in to see the doctor, go through all the testing. And then at month 15 is when we started trying for Medicaid cycles. So they put us on medications. And on our third round of medications, we finally got pregnant. And unfortunately, 11 weeks in, we miscarried. And that was only 2 weeks ago. So I'm still a little soft, still a little sensitive. But I think this video needs to be made because I think I have friends in my own life that are a little stuck. And they're loving and they're warm and they're supportive, and they don't know what to say next, which is totally fair. So that's what this video is for. The first one that almost everybody I've ever talked to has heard of is just relax. And just relax comes in a ton of forms. If you just relax, it'll happen. Stop thinking about it. Stop trying for a baby. I have a list here. Sorry. You're still young yet. You got lots of time. I'm 32. That one was obviously not aimed at me, but I've heard of a lot of girls, in their mid 20s getting told that kind of a thing. Just get drunk and have sex, take a vacation, think more positively, and it'll happen for you. Here's the problem. So, infertility is defined as not being able to get pregnant naturally within about 12 months. Generally speaking, if you haven't been able to get pregnant naturally after the 12-month mark, there's usually a medical issue that's wrong. Either your ovaries aren't functioning, your fallopian tubes aren't functioning, you might have a precordiate uterus, you might have PCOS, you might have male factor infertility, which means that his sperm either don't swim or don't swim well or doesn't have good numbers. There's usually a medical reason behind it. And while relaxing does help a small amount, when you're stressed, like from way back when we used to be cavemen, if you're stressed out, it's because things were attacking you, and being pregnant left you vulnerable. If you were under attack too much, your body would not get pregnant. Simply did leave you from being vulnerable when you were being chased down by like rabid wolves and stuff like that. So there is something to be said for relaxing, but at the 12-month mark, it's not a relaxing thing anymore. Getting pregnant is stressful after the 12-month mark. There is doctor's appointments. There is a ton of ultrasounds, drugs that make you feel awful. And it's a lot to take in. For those of you guys that say you take a vacation, first month we were trying, we took a 2-week vacation to Peru and Ecuador. We've been down for a cruise down in Florida. We're about to go on cruise number 2. And we've been on a few vacations in the middle. I'm 32. We're doing fairly well. We go on little vacations here and there. I wouldn't say regularly, but like a couple times a year we get out of the house. I'm still not pregnant yet. Taking a vacation is not this magical fix for infertility. neither is any of these other ones for just relaxing. I know you mean to be well, and if you've only been trying for a couple months, just relaxing probably actually will help a little bit, just with that same response. But at the 12-month mark, there's usually something medical happening, um, and relaxing is not. As one of the girls said, relaxing won't fix my broken ovary. Not my comment, but I almost died laughing about it, and it's very true. It's not going to fix a sperm count to go on vacation or to get drunk. It's actually going to decrease your sperm count if you get a little drunk. So just throwing that out there. Um, One of the other ones that I've kind of heard is you need to try harder. Maybe you're not pregnant because you're just not trying hard enough yet. And kind of along with those, I have maybe subconsciously you don't want kids and your body's listening to that subconscious want, or maybe your body's telling you you shouldn't be pregnant. I understand that you're trying to like just get them to being okay with not being pregnant yet. I understand that that might be where that thought process is coming from, but comments like that are really, really hurtful. Um, any kind of comments with, maybe you should be pregnant, maybe your genes shouldn't be passed on, maybe this is God's way of telling you that you shouldn't be a mother or a father. They're heartbreaking comments to hear. So just kind of shy away from some of those. And then there's always like the take the magical cure and you'll get fixed. And there's a ton of them. There are a ton of them on the internet. There are a ton of them friends have mentioned to me and lots of friends of mine. Have you drank pomegranate juice? Did you eat pineapple core? Did you try ovulation prediction kits or OPKs? Did you temp? Did you have sex every day, every second day, every third day? Did you try this vitamin, or did you try like extra folic acid? Did you try? And there's a ton of them. It could go on for forever. I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there would tell you that you can fix infertility with juicing. There is so many of them. Trust me, we've probably tried most of them. By the time you get to a year mark, you're like, all right, something's up. So I take all kinds of vitamins. I do take some folic acid. I do drink the pomegranate juice. There's lots of them that we try that we've all done. We're not looking for you to help with a magical cure. I totally get where it's coming from. I get that you're trying to offer up some helpful suggestion on things you might have heard, or even if you did some of your own online research of things that you've looked into. But by the time that we've been struggling with fertility for a year, we've probably looked into it already. And we're probably doing everything that we can at this point. And there's no magical cure for infertility at all. There just isn't one sort of catch-all cure. The one I really hate, and people have mentioned to me, is, are you sure you really want kids? And it's usually after somebody else's kids are doing something gross or obnoxious because they're, 3, and 3-year-olds are gross and obnoxious. That's how 3-year-olds are. And I was sitting at like one of my own family dinners one night, and a friend of mine's kid was being, loud, not listening, throwing things, being a 4-year-old. And a friend of mine turned to me and goes, are you sure this is what you want in your life? Are you sure that this like disruptive, monstrous thing is what you want? Like, I didn't try for a baby for a year not expecting it to be gross, or to be obnoxious. I'm an EMT. I deal with gross and obnoxious like pretty daily. That's kind of what I do for a living. But at least when this bum poops all the way to the footies of the sleeper, it's a smaller bum and less wrinkly than the one I cleaned like last week, right? I'm sort of flabbergasted, especially when people say this to me. I'm like, do you know what I do for a living? But even friends of mine that just have a desk job that work, as a secretary in an office, we're not stupid. We know kids are gross and obnoxious. But when you say that to us, it's sort of like, especially when it's followed up by things like, you don't know love until you had kids. And then, are you sure you want one? Like, no, I want to be denied the same love and affection that you have every day, right? Yes, I realize that kids aren't always great and fun, but they're not regretful, right? None of these friends that have said this to me, if you turn around and look at them and go, do you regret your kids? They're like, well, no. Like, well, then why would I regret having a loud and obnoxious child in my house? They're kids. That's just the way that they are. That's not an unexpected surprise when they're loud and obnoxious. Will I be just as tired out by it as you are by the time that I get to that point? Sure I will, because we're human and that's what we do. But yes, I want kids. I didn't try for 18 months to have a child and not actually be sure that this is what I want. This is not like an oops thing. I didn't just fall into being a parent one day. This is an actual attempt to get to that point in my life. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of jealous of the loud and the obnoxious in your life. Um, and I get that they're just trying to be funny. I get that it's like a haha kind of moment for a lot of people. But when you say it to somebody who's been suffering from infertility for a long time and been trying for a baby for that long, and I've only been trying for just shy of 2 years now. Um, I have friends that have been trying for ages. I know somebody that's been trying for 10 years and is still going, trying to get her first pregnancy. Um, by the time you get to this point and somebody says that to you, it's awful. That's all I can say. It's so hurtful. I've laughed it off. I've like, haha, that's funny. And then I get in my car and I go home and I cry my eyes out. And I never really told anybody that until a little while back. I had a conversation with somebody who said that to me a few times, and had like this nice, warm, loving conversation with her about, like, I love you. I know you're trying to be supportive. I know you're trying to just like, haha, make it, a little bit lighter and kind of have a good laugh. But it's really hurtful. And now that I've said it and I've got it off the table, everything's good again. You know what I mean? And I've given her some options and things that I like hearing, and that's all I get now, because she does love me, right? She doesn't want to hurt my feelings. She didn't realize that being haha funny was hurting my feelings until you say something. So just kind of like keep in mind, even if they don't say something to some of these comments, it doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't hurt. Most of us will just take it home, internalize it, and deal with it later. Um, I love the borrow mine. Borrow mine because they'll change your mind. It kind of goes along the same line of, like, my kids are so awful and I regret having them so much. You should take them. You'll see how awful children are. It's not. Kids misbehave. They're loud. They're obnoxious. They're gross. They poop. They smear things everywhere, including poop. And it happens. But it doesn't make them a regretful decision. Um, I love babysitting. I take friends of mine's kids all the time. I offer up to take kids because I love them. Um, Having kids in my house, even doing gross and disgusting things where it's only my job to clean them up, doesn't make me not want to have kids. It does make me go, oh my God, this is disgusting while I'm cleaning it up. But that's the same reaction you have as a parent, I'm assuming, right? So it's nothing different. Um, I haven't seen any of these because I don't have kids yet, but every once in a while I have friends that are trying for baby number 2, sometimes even baby number 3, and their friends are like, oh, you're so lucky you only have one child. They don't fight, they don't have arguments, you don't have these screaming children running through your house. Um, the problem is a lot of people don't want to have just one child. They want to have 2, they want to have 3. And I don't know why having one child becomes so praised. I get that it might just be because you're tired of the fact that your kids have probably been fighting all day, and you look at the friend with one kid, you're like, oh, that would be really nice. But then you look back at your own kids and you still love them. That's the way it works. So just kind of keep that in mind, that some of those comments can be really hurtful when you take that away, and when you aim it at somebody who's been suffering from infertility. Um, if they already have a child, it also doesn't mean that they're not suffering from infertility. Some friends suffer quietly through infertility the first time. They might be a little more open about talking about it the second time. And the other discussion that you kind of need to have is something called secondary fertility, which means you got pregnant with the first one just fine, usually with no assistance, no help, and it didn't take a lot of time. And for some reason, their body, something has changed. And we're getting older. In between each kid, you get older. And things don't really work as well, either on, her side or his side. Things start to kind of cycle down. You're getting a little older. And that's called secondary infertility, when the first kid was fine and the second kid takes forever. And there are actually lots of couples that suffer from secondary infertility. So try not to aim any, like, you're not infertile, you already have one kid kind of comments, because it kind of just denotes what they're going through and just kind of downplays what they're actually going through. Every once in a while I get friends who say, I've been trying for like 2 months and I'm exhausted. Sorry, I have a dog that's pushing on the couch. I've been trying for 2 months and I'm exhausted. If you know your friend is suffering from infertility, try to keep comments like that down a little bit. I get that it is exhausting after a couple months. And I have some ways to kind of change that around when I talk about things you can't say, so just keep with me. But infertility is a 12-month process to even get to the point of being labeled as infertile. If you haven't been trying for 12 months, please don't give me the lines of, I totally know what you're going through. I know, I've been trying for 2 months and I'm so frustrated. I got that line when I've been trying for like 15 months and I'm like, and she'd been trying for 2. She was going on to her 3rd month. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It is totally not the same. I get that it's frustrating. I get that it's irritating. I even get that month after month it's going to get worse. But if you haven't been trying for the 12 months, you actually really don't know what infertility feels like. I was a little frustrated at the beginning, but it's nothing compared to what I hit about the 12, even the 14-month mark of trying to have a baby. The why don't you adopt instead comment is also really hurtful. And I shouldn't say that's really hurtful. It's just a really weird comment. And you get different variations of this. Like, there are thousands of kids that are in foster care. There are thousands of kids needing a home. Why don't you adopt one of them? First of all, where I live in Western Canada, it's actually about as expensive to adopt a child through an agency as it is to do IVF. It's ridiculously expensive. And at least if you do IVF, you end up with your own biological children. And the need for biological children and the want for biological children is a drive. We have it. If you have children, you already knew there were thousands of kids that could have used a home. How come you didn't adopt, right? And I realize that people are thinking, well, if you have infertility issues, this could go around that, and then you wouldn't be suffering from infertility anymore, and you'd have your baby with you. But adoption is a year-long process. It's actually very long. It's very heartbreaking, and it breaks down about as often as IVF doesn't work, which is why a lot of people don't bother doing it. For those of you that do adopt, or for friends of yours that do adopt, please love that child like it is part of the family. I've talked to friends that have either gone through IVF or gone through adoption, and their friends and their family kind of write that kid off like it's not really part of the family with them, which is really heartbreaking, and I don't really maybe understand that, personally speaking, but just kind of keep an eye out for it. But that's the reason a lot of us don't adopt. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's just as heartbreaking as trying for your own child. Every once in a while, I've heard this one too, not aimed at me, but I've heard this one kind of go around, is that all you had to do is look at your husband and get pregnant. And people that I was talking to on infertility pages, like, they've had people who know that they're infertile brag to them about how quick they got pregnant. I'm a little blown away by that. Like, how is that helping any? The friends that I have that have said that to me, because I have a few that, got pregnant on month 1, month 2, like you're supposed to. But all of them were a little almost embarrassed by it, because they knew that I was going through infertility. They know we've been trying for well over a year now. And if I ask them about how long it took them to get pregnant, they kind of get the, like, a month face. And they're not bragging about it. So that one's never hurt me in particular, but because my friends don't brag to me how quick they get pregnant, while I'm trying to discuss how long it's taken me to get there. There's a couple of variations on the next one, but it's sort of along the, it's part of God's plan, right? It's God's plan. It'll happen on God's time. You get the non-religious version of it'll happen when it happens, or everything happens for a reason. Doesn't really matter if you go with the religious or non-religious versions of that. They're not helpful. I realize that some people like to say that kind of thing, and I'll talk about a few things you can say instead of that, that run along the same lines without basically telling you the reason you don't have a baby is because you're not supposed to have a child, is basically what you're saying at that point. And it's really hurtful. I know it's not meant to be. I know that statement is supposed to be thoughtful and kind of helpful. But for anybody going through a lot of things, that comment's actually really hurtful in a lot of ways, and not just with infertility. It might be something you take, like, right out of your vocabulary. And the last one that I have, and I don't know if this one was meant to be supportive, because I can't figure out how. But there's a few times that I've heard this one, either it was overheard by other friends talking, or one of the women, her husband was actually asked this by somebody he knew, was, why do you stay with a partner that has infertility issues? I don't even know what to say to that. 1 in 10 couples has a problem with infertility, whether it's on her side or his side, doesn't really matter. But if infertility has taught me anything, and especially this miscarriage we just went through, is that I married the right man. I might have PCOS, we may have miscarried a baby, but my husband is amazing. It took me till I was 30 to find him, and he is never getting out of this. I love him to pieces, and he loves me right back. This has brought us closer than ever, and closer than anything else probably could have. So I don't know where that comment came from, but maybe not that one, right? Maybe just leave out the I can't believe they're staying with infertile couples or with an infertile partner. It's just not okay to say. Okay, so now that we've talked about a bunch of things that you shouldn't say, you're probably left with, okay, so what's left, right? I was talking about saying, don't use God's plan or everything happens for a reason, that kind of thing. Instead of saying stuff like that, you can say things like, I'm praying for you. I'm not religious. I have people tell me on this channel all the time that I'm praying for you. I'm keeping you in my thoughts. I'm hoping you get your positive soon. I get all kinds of really wonderfully thoughtful things like that. And I really like it. Regardless of not being religious, having somebody pray for me still warms my heart a little bit. Having somebody tell me that they think about me, somebody telling me that they're hoping for me, that we're hoping we're going to positive soon. Even I'm sorry this isn't happening for you. I hope it happens soon. Keep me posted. All of that's really helpful. Any of those kind of statements works really well for all of us. I'm here for you. It's such a simple statement. We say it to all kinds of people suffering from all kinds of things. And it's amazing how wonderful it is. Especially when it's followed up by, some really solid sincerity from people that you love. Just knowing that I'm not alone, even if I don't need anything from you, knowing that I'm not alone is huge. And it really, really is appreciated. Do you want to talk about it? Is another one. If they've come out to you and said, we're suffering from infertility, we're having some fertility issues or something like that, when you ask, like the dreaded question we always get is, when are you planning on having kids? Like, we've been trying. We've been trying. If they've told you that they're having infertility issues, it means they're okay to talk about it. Ask them about it. Do you want to talk about it? How long have you been trying for? What have you tried? What are you going through right now? Whereabouts in the process are you? If you don't know the steps of infertility, ask. There's lots of them. You can watch some of my videos have what we've gone through. Mine is not a universal experience though, so keep that in mind. But you're absolutely welcome to ask and figure out what they're doing and how they're doing with this process. If you've been trying, and you're at that 2 or 3 month mark where you're like, okay, like this isn't nearly as much fun anymore, because trying to have a baby sex is not good sex. It's not the same as your average, like, woohoo, let's just have sex. And if you're already getting frustrated, that's okay. That's entirely an okay feeling to have. But instead of saying to your friend, like, I'm just so frustrated, this is ridiculous. If you know your friend has infertility, bring that into the comment. Like, I'm already frustrated. I can't imagine what you're going through after however amount of time. And I hope you get your positive soon. And that's totally fine. It's even okay to vent to them. Now you're starting to go PKs in the morning, and you're starting to drink the pomegranate juice, and you're starting to get into some of the other steps that other people have suggested. It's okay to vent to somebody that has infertility. Just don't make it out to be that 2 months is so hard. And that's the end of the discussion, because it does progressively get worse and worse and worse. And now the frustration I had at the 2 month mark, you're looking back at it like, that wasn't so bad. The positive I had at month 17, that was pretty awful. I fell apart on that one. You know what I mean? And it gets progressively worse. So just, when you vent, just be gentle about it, right? If you know they're having fertility troubles and you're having some issues yourself, ask them what they're doing. Ask them what they've been using. Ask them what products they're using. Ask them how they do this. They like talking about it. If they've mentioned to you that they're infertile, they want to talk to you about it. And you're totally okay with mentioning it to them. You're totally okay to ask them for advice. You're totally okay to ask them what they've gone through and how they're doing, and ask them for advice because you've been trying for a couple months and you're starting to get a little frustrated. If you're talking with them about options like adoption, if it's something they're considering, if they're talking about IVF, they're talking about artificial insemination, they're talking about the medications, just be supportive. Tell them that you're there with them. No matter what option they go with or what route they go, you'll be there. It's incredible. The feeling of not being alone is so important. And the last one is about if you get pregnant. So if you, as the friend of the family member, get pregnant and you know somebody that you love is suffering from infertility, do them a favor. before you do your huge reveal to everybody, pull them aside and tell them privately first. Whether it's over the phone, because at least they can just hang up the phone and break down and cry, which is what I did when my brother told me he was pregnant. Or you go over to their place with a cup of coffee and you just sort of very gently say it. Tell us first. Don't hide it from us. Don't try to pretend it doesn't exist. We will be happy for you, but there will be sadness for ourselves as well. And it's not that we're selfish. It's not that we're trying to not be part of your happiness, but it sucks. You know, my brother got married at our 1 year of trying mark. They got married just when we've been trying for about 11 months at that point. And they got pregnant 2 months later. They're due next month with their baby. And I'm so happy for them. Don't get me wrong. I'm ecstatic. I went to a baby shower last weekend, which was only a week and a half after we miscarried, almost 2 weeks after we miscarried. And I still went. I still had a good time. And I didn't even cry. I was so proud of myself. But it's a long, very hard, and sometimes very lonely road. And to be in a room full of family and be in a room full of friends when this longtime friend of yours comes out and says, "Yay, we're pregnant," it's so hard to just not cry. And it's not because we're not happy for you. It's because we're sad that we're not in the same boat as you are. And it's not a, why do you get to be pregnant? Why not me? Thought process in my head. It's just, I want to be there too. I want to be there with you along this journey. And I can't be. You could be on baby number 2 before I ever get pregnant. There's a good chance. I have friends that have been suffering from infertility for years. Some of them have gone on 8, 10 years. Some of their friends have had 1 baby, 2 babies, even 3 in the time that they've been trying for 1. And it's heartbreaking. So just do us a bit of a favor and just tell us privately so that we can deal with it, so that when it comes to the big reveal, either if we're not ready to deal with it, we can just stay away so that your moment isn't ruined. Or if we are ready, we can go there and we can be prepared for what's happening and be past our own sadness already and be ready to just be happy for you. It's just the shock that hurts and the heartbreak of our own inabilities to get pregnant. That's all I have to say about that. If you have any other things that people have said to you that they meant to be helpful but ended up being hurtful, or you have other things that other people have said to you that you found really helpful and really heartwarming to yourself, please leave them in the comments. If you want to follow along with our journey, we'll be trying again in a couple months to try and have a baby again. So feel free to like and subscribe. And I think I'm going to do another video like this specifically about miscarriage too, because that's another bond that gets dropped. And a lot of friends and family just don't know what to say. And that's okay. But knowing what won't be hurtful and what will be more helpful and more heartwarming just benefits you as a friend. That's all it's for. So feel free to share this around. For friends of mine that are suffering from infertility, feel free to throw this around. Show your family members and your friends so they understand how to help you too. They love you. They want to be supportive. They want to be there for you. Don't feel alone. Don't go through this process alone just because you feel like you should. All right. I will talk to you guys later. And you guys have a great day.